You know how sometimes economies feel pretty stable, pretty predictable, and then other times they just completely spiral out of control. One moment everything seems fine, and the next, a currency is in total freefall. It's a question that's puzzled economists forever.
I mean, that sounds impossibly ambitious, right? But back in 1966, a French economist, Maurice Allais, published a paper that claimed to do just that. He said he'd found a single, universal formula that could describe our demand for money, whether you're in a stable, modern economy or in the middle of one of history's worst hyperinflations. So let's dive into the story of that law.
See, before Allais came along, trying to model the demand for money was, well, it was a real mess. The theories that existed were all fragmented. They were like a bunch of local rules that only worked under very specific conditions. There was just no big unifying theory that worked across different countries or different economic situations. And this table just captures the problem perfectly. To get the old models to work, economists had to keep plugging in these wildly different numbers for every single situation. Take a look at the rate of forgetfulness. That's a measure of how quickly people's memory of past economic events fades away. For Germany in the 1920s, that rate was almost 10 times higher than in stable France. I mean, it's like saying the law of gravity is different in Paris than it is in Berlin. It just makes no sense. And that is the puzzle Allais set out to solve.
Allais' solution was this really incredible three-part idea he called the hereditary, relativistic, and logistic formulation, or HRL for short. Yeah, it's a mouthful, I know, but each piece of that name represents a really deep insight into how we, as a group, think about money. So, let's start with hereditary. What Allais proposed was that our economic decisions today, they aren't made in some kind of vacuum. They're actually shaped by our collective memory of the recent past. You can think of it like a kind of economic inertia. Our current demand for money is basically a weighted average of what's happened before, where the recent stuff matters a lot more than the distant past. And that brings us to relativistic, and this is where it gets really, really clever. Allais realized our collective memory doesn't fade at the same speed all the time. In calm, stable economies, what he called psychological time flows pretty slowly. Our memories are long. But during something like a hyperinflation, he said psychological time becomes this raging river, just washing away the past almost instantly as everyone scrambles to react to the crisis of the moment. And finally, we have logistic. Allais argued that the link between our collective psychological state, this memory of past inflation, and how much money we actually want to hold on to isn't random at all. It follows a predictable, universal S-shaped curve. All this really means is that as economic pressure builds, our collective behavior shifts in a really consistent and measurable way, no matter if we're in Paris or Budapest. And here it is. This chart illustrates that idea perfectly. This is the actual S-curve from his paper. No matter the country, no matter the economy, Allais found that the data points would land somewhere along this one universal path. He really believed he'd found the visual fingerprint of a universal economic law.
Okay, so the theory is beautiful. It's elegant. But does it actually hold up in the real world? Let's get to the evidence, because what we're about to see is one of the most remarkable fits between a theory and reality in all of economics. Honestly, the results are just stunning.
I mean, just look at this. This chart shows the German hyperinflation between 1919 and 1923. The solid line is what actually happened to the demand for money. The dashed line, that's what Allais' single, universal formula predicted would happen. It's practically a perfect overlay, even as the German price index skyrocketed from 8 to over 1 trillion. The theory didn't just guess the direction, it tracked reality with breathtaking accuracy.
So how perfect was it? Well, to put a number on it, the statistical correlation between Allais' theory and the real-world German data was 0.9987. Now, in statistics, a perfect match is 1.0. Getting this close in the messy, chaotic real world, it's almost unheard of.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, maybe Germany was just a fluke. Well, here's Hungary, right after World War II. This was a hyperinflation so extreme it makes Germany's look tame. The price index rose to a 4, followed by 29 zeros. And yet, using the exact same universal constants, the model just nailed it. Again, the theory held up under the most insane conditions you can imagine. And this, right here, this is the mic drop. Allais plotted data from 15 completely different economic situations. We're talking stable France, the post-war US, hyperinflationary Germany, Greece, Poland, Hungary, the whole shebang. And what did he find?
They all fall along that exact same theoretical S-curve. The collective behavior of totally different societies across decades and under wildly different pressures could all be described by one single elegant law.
So this discovery is about so much more than just a formula for money. It has these massive implications for how we understand economics, policy, and maybe even human nature itself. You see, Allais didn't just find an economic law. He might have stumbled upon a universal psychological one. So why does this matter so much? Well, for one, it gives us a single playbook to understand everything from gentle inflation to a catastrophic currency collapse. It also suggests something pretty profound, that our collective economic psychology, the way we react to these changes, is basically the same whether you're in 1920s Germany or modern-day America. And that's powerful. It lets us compare different crises in a meaningful way. And, most importantly, it gives us a way to actually measure a society's collective economic mood, which could open the door for much smarter monetary policy.
You know, I think Allais himself really put it best. He concluded that this undeniable similarity in our behavior points to something deep, something unchanging about our collective psychology. It's an incredibly powerful statement about the predictable patterns that show up when millions of us make individual decisions all at once.
And that leaves us with a really fascinating, maybe even a little unsettling final thought. If our collective economic actions can be predicted with this kind of pinpoint accuracy by a single mathematical law, what does that imply about free will and individual choice when we all act as a group? It seems that while any one of us might be unpredictable, all of us together are anything but.